I ran up a check, I might do it again. Enemies close, had me thinking they're friends. 10 toes down, I'll be free until the end. Crib outside the city, I don't feel safe in my hands. Took so many years, I'm just waiting for the wins. I'm in debt to no one but the one who took my sins. I do it for real, there's no reason to pretend. If I do it once, I do it again. Add it up, bankroll, euro, peso, add it up. I'm just doing me, everything is on me. Oh, you matter what? Add it up, bankroll, euro, peso, add it up. I'm just doing me, everything is on me. Oh, you matter what? Add it up. Told her if it's all me, everything is on me. Gon' back it up. Matter what? Told you I'ma do me. Why you hating on me? It's not adding up. I do roll like a Mack truck. Country heart, I might cop a farm and go act up. Lot of scars, I was cold-hearted, now I'm backed up. Keep it real, I do this once a month, I don't rap much. I just take the money and go stack up. Only buying car till you tatted up. All that other bull, it don't matter much. You only climb me, I put the ladders up. I ran.
Going pretty good, bud. Going pretty good. How about yourself? Here you guys are getting a little bit of snow out there.
Good evening, YouTube.
It's springtime in the
Welcome.
Rockies.
We are back. Anthony and Mike, almost mediocre sports guys. How's everything going, Mike? Doing good. Doing good. We're excited for. We are. We are. It's cold. It's heavy. It's wet. I hate it. I'm just
Yeah,
glad. Hey, I'm just glad it's a
yeah,
Saturday
it's
for
kind of
me.
funny
You know,
with all that stuff because like you're
dad,
talking
so
about
hopefully,
back, when we were still out there, and you know too, because
go
those
and
spring
have a good.
snowstorms have
That's
turned
how it's
out to be
actually
the
been
ones where you
for
get
the most part.
just dumped on. And I
This
mean, and granted, it
winter, I
melts pretty
guess you could
quick
call it.
because,
It's
like you're
just
saying,
been
you get that
snow
warm
that
weather that
hits
comes in
down and
pretty
then
much
it's
right
just
after. But
gone by
man, it dumps a
by
ton of
the
snow in the
beginning of the week
springtime.
is
But at least they're
that's
wet
funny.
snows. And if
It
nothing
doesn't it
else,
doesn't stick
you make
around
great
here. That's for sure.
snowballs out of it, snowmen, that type of thing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, this snow right here is that good one. You pack it up real good. You're ready to hit somebody. Might knock them out. Who knows? I don't know. I remember actually funny story talk about this when it comes to snowballs. I remember we were in high school at the time, and we went to because obviously you remember how close we were to the high school we lived. So, um, for lunch or something, it was had to have been lunch I believe. We went to the house. It was me, my sister, my friend Nesto, and my sister's friend Dominique. We were all leaving the house going back from lunch, and there was this box truck coming down the street. And so my friend Esto thought it'd be kind of funny if I just rolled up a snowball real quick and just chuck it right at the back of the box truck, right?
I got a real quick one for you. I'm
Yeah,
growing
well,
up
as
in
soon as he
Texas.
rolled it up
I
and
think
then
I'm
he
10
went to go
years
throw it,
old.
there
And
was
so
the
in
passenger,
Texas,
the guy, the
we got
passenger
one
seat had
snow
the
that
window down. He
winter.
goes,
Well, we
"Don't
got
even
like
think about
seven
it." And he
inches of snow,
froze
right?
mid
But in
throw,
that
just didn't even
neighborhood,
throw it. He was
there was
just
this mean old
put
police
it
officer.
down.
Anytime you
We
even
were
remotely
cracking up
walked
the
in
whole
front of
way back to
his
school because
driveway, right?
he freaked
He'd
him
yell
out.
at you,
It was pretty
get off
funny.
of my street.
It
Don't
was
even
funny.
walk in my driveway. So all the kids basically hated this police officer. So, and he had one of those big, like long Snoopy mailboxes, long, opens up at the end.
Yeah.
And so, and I never liked the dude. So that night it snowed. We got like 6 inches, 7 inches of snow. That was great. And I thought, man, I told my buddy, I said, hey, I got an idea. Let's do this. Now my buddy didn't want to do it. I says, well, just go with me. I'll do it. So later till it got dark, obviously, I got a whole bunch of snow. The guy had not checked his
Yeah.
mail.
Yeah.
So I went and I packed that mailbox as full of snow as I could. And I left the letters sticking out just far enough where they could be seen. So left it, went inside. It got it got cold. It got cold that night. Get up the next morning. I go out just to see kind of how it looked. Went over there, and this is early, right? So he probably wasn't even up yet. Looked at that mailbox. Lid wouldn't even shut because that box was now a block of ice. And this guy's letters are just the
Oh.
tips are sticking out of the ice. Oh man. Now, kids, don't be like me and Anthony going around doing things like that. Be good, grow up, be as nice as you can be. But I gotta say, that was fun. It was worth it.
Oh.
My only regret was I didn't get to see his reaction because I know he wasn't happy, but I wish I could have seen his reaction.
Oh, wow. You- Yeah, no, that's it. That's a good one. That's a great story. No, that's a good one for sure. Well, happy to have us back here again. It's good to be back. We are excited for another good episode.
We're
Kind of
gonna
get
talk
a little
about
bit of
life,
just a little bit of talks here. Just a little bit of
sports,
sports
life.
stuff, guys. I know we kind of changed some, kind of made some new adjustments, talking about a little bit more than just sports, and that's kind of what we're thinking about moving forward here. Is we're going to kind of get into a little bit more. Like we said, we were more into sports and this and that, but I think we're going to kind of make a little bit of a change and talk about a whole bunch of other stuff. Like we told you guys we were there. Well, I mean, let's not get into that much of it, but no. So, guys, today we told you guys last episode that today we'd let you guys know what our top 10 was going to be, and Mike had a great idea, and today we're going to come up with our top 10 like favorite cars. It could be basically just a brand of cars, or it could be a specific car, whatever it may be. Just that's what's going to be our topic today for sure. But kind of want to get started off with the show here with the NBA playoffs here. Mike, starting off today. Um, First game this morning, obviously was going to be the which game was that this morning? That started right off this week. Oh, the Cavaliers and Magic. That's right. That was the first game to start off. 97-83. Cavs beat the Magic's on that one. Game after that was Timberwolves Suns. Well, Timberwolves won 120-95. And then obviously right now we got the Knicks Sixers
I
going
may
on.
wait just until the next round
A little
before I get
under
into a
four,
final prediction. I still
94-90.
think if I had to give like a
Knicks
just
up on
a
the
precursor
Sixers.
to what I
So,
think could
um,
happen,
Mike, what were your thoughts
like were
about it
talking about off camera, I
for the
think the Nuggets are
playoffs and
still a
how the
solid
seats
pick
go
to
and
potentially go out of the West. Obviously, the
maybe to give a
Celtics
little
with
bit
the
of a
best
prediction
record
of who
overall
we
in
got making the
basketball are a
finals and
solid pick to
finals
go in the East.
champion too.
What's curious to me, you mentioned the Sixer series was I think it was the Knicks. I believe I could be misquoted here, folks. I think the Knicks were actually. I think there was the potential for them to face the Celtics in the first round, obviously, but they literally their preference was to play the Sixers. I think they felt they had a better chance, obviously, to get past the Sixers, and I agree with that. Um, Timberwolves look good. Timberwolves one of the better defensive teams in the league. Um, so I think that'll be interesting to see what they do as they progress. I like them quite a bit. The Orlando Cleveland series I think is a little interesting to me. I think there's a better competitive edge there. One thing about, as we all know, that follow the basketball, the basketball playoffs, the first round is always a best of five. So everything's a little bit more compact, a little bit more stress relation. The beauty of the first round is that the 5 games take 5 months to get through, and then after that it segues into actual every other day play. But you just got to get through those first 5 months with the first round, and the ball get rolling, or so to speak, folks. But yeah,
Yeah, yeah, I'm with
yeah,
you. I'm with you on that. I'm more kind of we're interested in that Cleveland Orlando series because there's been kind of a lot of talks about that, which team's a little bit better. I think a lot of people have been really high on Orlando. And I think to me, I don't have any problems with the team. I think they're great. They are. But the problem for me is they're just too young. I think Cleveland was the better team today. Obviously, I mean, and that great defense only hold them to what did I say 85. I think is what it was. Obviously, Donovan Mitchell was the main guy, catalyst there for him. But um, I think the Magics will be fine. They just got to keep pushing, got to get good draft picks, keep the team together, and they'll get there. But right now they're not the strong team that I think a lot of people think Orlando is, and they could prove me wrong. Like I said, I could be wrong. I haven't watched them this year as much as I have other teams and stuff. So I could be wrong about that. But I think looking at these playoffs, it's kind of
Yeah.
There's some really good matchups going on. Obviously, the Nuggets and Lakers are the late game tonight, but I kind of thought the Timberwolves Suns matchup would be a good matchup, but I didn't expect the Timberwolves to do what they did to the
No, I
Suns
mean
right
he's at
now.
a point in his
And
career
like I said, we
obviously where you've
talked
got to
about
have
this
the
before
surrounding
too,
pieces.
and we were talking about this before we
And I've
started
always
the
felt that he
run that
benefited from that.
there's
He's
no
a
point
phenomenal
guard
ball player.
for the
He's
Suns at
he's
all. There's
a
just no point
first
guard
ballot Hall of
playing,
Famer,
and
everything,
KD is
all those
just
things.
he's
Obviously, the
at
championships
his age
with the
right now,
Warriors and
trying to
everything.
carry that
But I've
load.
always felt
He
that
just can't.
I've never
He doesn't
viewed him
have.
as
He just
so
doesn't
to
have it
speak
in him
the guy
anymore
could
to
just
cover a
drop
load like that.
drop him into any team and he just carries you to whatever. But we're talking about Phoenix here, like you mentioned, but without the point guard to direct and letting Paul get away, even at his age, I think that's a little bit of a mistake because you get leadership with Paul. You get there's still some talent there with Paul, even if it's in bits and pieces. Um, Not really, but no,
Yeah, because
yeah,
Paul didn't really help both teams anyways, right? I mean, going to Golden State, the Golden State didn't even they made the play in, but now they're out. So he didn't really help that team. I think you leave Chris Paul with this Phoenix team, it's going to be a better option for them. They have a point guard now. They have somebody they could, but obviously I don't think they could have kept Beal, right? I mean, they had to sign Beal. The reason Paul's gone is to get Beal in if I'm not mistaken, that's probably the money situation. But if they could have still kept that team, there's a possibility because you have a pure point guard. Obviously, he's going to be first ballot Hall of Famer inside. He's great. I mean, he doesn't make mistakes. So why are you guys getting rid of this? I mean, it's very important to have a point guard, and I don't want to say just a point guard, but
no,
somebody that
no.
knows how to run
It's
the
a bunch of
perimeter, should
loose
say,
ends
because this game's a
basically
whole
that you're
lot
trying
different now, right?
to
You
make
got
into one
Jokic, you got
piece.
LeBron.
And
A lot of
you
people
mentioned
that
it
bring
off
up the
camera
ball
before we
now
started with
that are
Booker,
not just point guards
I just think
like
there's some
that. But
struggles
Chris
there with
Paul
him
is a
too.
pure point guard. We all know that. But
Sometimes I
so
want
you need
to
to have
sometimes I
somebody
want
that
it with
can
Booker,
control the
but
ball, bring it
if
up.
he's not caught up
There's
sometimes in
nobody
off
on this
court
Phoenix team
distractions,
that can do that. Nobody.
and what he involves himself with dating and things like that. But back to the court, I don't know that he's contributing to his fullest, so to speak, and not for lack of effort, but I just don't know that it's what it needs to be. But even with that, again, without a point guard to direct the traffic like you're talking about, it's, and no pun intended, it's pointless. It is. You have to have that. Um, and the Nuggets obviously are a little bit of a different animal in that respect because obviously Jokic is the one who does everything and anything with the Nuggets. So traditionally he's the guy that once it gets it, you get to pass half court, the ball's passed to him, and he's the one who begins directing everything. So,
Yeah, yeah.
but that'll be interesting to see. Phoenix, I wouldn't be surprised if Minnesota sweeps Phoenix. Possibly Phoenix takes one. Yeah, but it's going to be difficult. But Minnesota intrigues me with their defensive ability. You saw it again today with what they held Phoenix to. I hope we don't get into this though. With you mentioned with the 85 points that were scored in the other ball game. I really don't. I hope we're not drifting back to.
Yeah, I could see
In
that.
I'm almost contradicting myself here. I was going to say I hope we're not drifting back to defensive basketball because that's non-existent anymore. But it's just curious to me that in these first games played, you've got one with 95, one with 85, that type of thing. And when you're talking about Orlando, like you said, but part of that too is a lack of inexperience, those type of things. I like what Orlando's doing. What you mentioned though, they've got to draft some more pieces. We're obviously looking for the agency, but I think there's a lot of upside to Orlando. Even if they lose this series 3-2 or 3-1 or whatever it's going to be, or maybe they do win. I don't know, but I don't think they will. Even if they do, Orlando fans, there's a lot to be excited about. There's a lot of potential there for them to go as they go forward. But the first round as a whole, I think is going to be pretty exciting.
Yeah.
The Nuggets Lakers series intrigues me, just to see if the Lakers can get past the Nuggets once. I hope they don't. But it is, and maybe the best of the first round. Right? Yeah.
Yeah, that's that big thing, right? That Nuggets Lakers is a huge series to everybody. Obviously, that's the
It's
Western
possible.
Conference Finals from last year. Nuggets go through with the sweep, but obviously Lakers are on a tear right now a little bit.
No,
But Nuggets are 8-0 in the last 8 games against them. So this is kind of it's one of those things where it's kind of like is it messing with them psychologically with the Lakers now? Where are they not going to be able to get past the Nuggets because it's just like, man, they beat us 8 times in a row. Like it's tough to beat I mean, to beat teams consistently like that, right?
well, it's
So it's
pivotal
like
for
if
the
you lose
Lakers
again
to
tonight, right?
win one of the two
You
games
always say
in
game
Denver.
one's the most
It's an
important. That's
absolute
what we always
must,
said.
and I
We've
say
always
that
talked about that.
because,
We think game one usually the
and for
most
the NBA
important one.
fans out there, I mean, you know where
You
I'm
lose
going with
game
this.
one,
Bud
you go
obviously
down, and you're
knows
9-0
because
now.
to go and
Depending on
back
how
to
you
your
lose this
point,
game,
Bud,
should
about
be.
the mental aspect of this. If the Lakers go down 2-0, the series is over because they'll check out. I'm not saying they'll lose game three, but they'll check out because I just fully believe they'll say we can't do this. We're not going to beat them three straight. We're not going to do it. They have to win one of the two games to give them any type of confidence because they know you win one of the two, 1-1, go back. There's a potential there to. I mean, probably not going to happen, but there's a potential for the Lakers to wrap it up if they went back to LA with a split. So that's a big 2-game series. I think it's the best series in the first round with the Lakers in Denver. You know, but it does. And also, Davis is a big part of this. Davis, again, we've seen it. Guy checks out. He checks out. He'll have a big game and he
Yeah, I
checks
agree.
out.
I agree. I think it is. I think it is the biggest and probably the best series that you're gonna see um, with these two. But it kind of depends on which Lakers team shows up though too, right?
No.
I mean, yeah. That's the thing is he gonna stay healthy the whole
Oh, yeah.
the whole entire series? Is he gonna you know be able to play against Jokic? I mean, Jokic is the last few times he played him, especially in that West Conference Final, he had no answers for him. He has no answers for him at all, and I mean, not a lot of people do. I mean, I wouldn't even know how to stop Jokic. I don't know if there is a way to stop Jokic. I
He
mean,
is
that's why he's
playing.
the best player on the
Well,
planet right now, right? Same thing with the Nuggets. So the Nuggets need to stay healthy too. Obviously, Jokic and Murray have to be on the court. They have to be on the court at all times. They can't be hurt, not miss series, not miss games, things like that. Need a little bit stepping up more, probably from some other players. Michael Porter. I don't know we were talking about that. I don't know what his status is. If he's a good player or not. Um, and then Aaron Gordon. I think Aaron Gordon's one of the big keys for us too. He's one of the bigger keys for the Nuggets where he can step up because he could do it on both sides of the court, right? As far as defensive side, getting some extra rebounds, getting some offensive rebounds, get scoring inside. He does quite a bit. So hopefully he can kind of hurt the Lakers in that sense because he did that and he hurt the Lakers. He hurt the Heat in the finals. He's definitely he
yeah,
can make a big
yeah,
impact,
definitely.
or he can also make an impact where he just doesn't do anything, and it doesn't help the team out. So I think he's the next person in line after Jokic and Murray that needs to step up and really show up because he's that extra guy that can he's like
Well, and also, and
like the
again, we talked
Jordan and
about this
Pippen.
briefly,
He's
even
the
back to
Rodman
last year, and I
of
disagree
that
with
team, right?
Malone's
That's
approach
he needs to
to
step
the
up. He needs to help
playoffs.
out
We
in
talked
that
about
sense.
this
That's
where
kind of
they
what I
had
want to see,
I
and
thought it
we'll
was a
see if
devastating
Gordon
loss
does do that.
to the
But
Spurs right back in the
in my opinion,
season.
I think that
You're
could
fighting
case
for
for the
home court
Nuggets to do
advantage, and
this
I'm
in a
sorry,
sense. That's kind of where I'm going
you
with it.
have to
But
fight
it's
for
going to be a
this.
good
It's
series.
important. It is. You have to get that, and it was within your grasp. It was actually there for you, and you just sort of blow it off, and you just you lose to the Spurs, and now you're the 2 seed. And you can play around with that all you want to, but if that's your approach, at some point that bites you in the backside. And Oklahoma City is not a bad basketball team. So if you go to a game seven, and yeah, you're gonna have Joker and all that stuff, and that's the guy you want of anybody that's in the NBA for a game seven. But man, you start playing with fire if you get into these situations. That's why you wrap things up when you have the potential to. And the Nuggets didn't do that. So I'll be curious to see if that bites them in the backside as they go forward. If they get past the Lakers, obviously in the next round, but if they do finally meet Oklahoma City, we'll see. We'll see if that philosophy pays off or is something they need to reevaluate in the offseason. Oh, real quick, bud, real quick. You asked me your picks for the finals. Who are you looking at? I do too.
Yeah. No, I mean what?
Boston still.
I guess right now I do have Denver going. I still think it's hard to beat Denver in a 7-game series. I still think they'll make it, and I do think Boston will find a way to get it. I think we're going to see a Nuggets Boston series.
Yeah, Boston
Don't know
still
who
has
will
to
win.
prove it to me.
That's tough.
Even if they get
Tough
to the
to
Eastern
see, but
Conference Finals, they still have to prove it
I think if
because we've
that's what
seen, we
happens,
know
I feel like
they
the
always
Nuggets
find a way to
can do this. I
lose.
think they
Sorry,
can go
Boston
back to
fans.
back,
This
and
is
we'll see
this
what
is the
they
bottom
have.
line truth. You
Like I said,
guys
as long as everybody's healthy and
always find a
stays,
way to
you
lose.
know,
So until they
with
get
it
to the
close to it, I
finals,
don't
until
see a
they
team
get
that
that
can beat
chip,
the
we'll see what
Nuggets in a
happens. So
7-game
let's see if
series.
they can get to the finals first, but then we'll just kind of reevaluate.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. Definitely. Well, look forward to that. We got the
Did
next
real
game
quick, bud?
underway
Did
now.
Embiid play,
For
or is
sure. Kind
okay?
of
He
keep
is
an eye on
okay.
that, guys, and kind of let you guys know if you're just listening. That's something we kind of give a little bit of stuff. There's the other game. It's 47 seconds left. 107-100. Knicks up. So it looks like possibly
Yeah, he's
Knicks could
balling.
pull off game one against the Sixers. So big win for them in game one if that does hold up. But like I said, he did. Yes, he did. He did play. Let me see if what they got as a stat line for him right now. 29, 8, 6 points, rebounds, assists. So he's having a great game. Maxi's got 31. He's actually leading scorer for the Sixers. Brunson 22, Hart 20 right now. McBride off the bench with 21 for the Knicks. So
Yeah, and I got one
kind
quick
of
question
spreading
for
it
you
around
guys
there
out
for
there,
sure. But
folks.
we'll keep an eye on it,
My
guys, and
curiosity
see.
question is,
Let
I
us know
asked this
too in the
of
chat
Anthony off
who you guys
camera.
got going to the
Do you
finals, or
folks give
your
us a
team
poll,
that are
give us a
in there now,
percentage? Do you
who
think
you guys are
Golden
kind of
State's
rooting for
dynasty
too.
run is
Let
over?
us know. But
I
yeah,
think it is. I think
um,
Anthony also believes it is.
for
But
me,
let us know what
like I
you
said, I
think.
got the Nuggets. I think the Nuggets can find a way to pull this off for sure.
I think
Yeah,
it's
definitely,
obviously a huge
definitely.
positive for Chicago. I was a little bit surprised
So
by the
Mike,
developments with all that and how that played out. I think Cardoso is the bigger addition to the team. I think Angel can bring. I think she brings a face to the league. She does have talent, particularly on the defensive side. She's limited offensively, but she brings that personality. I think that'll be a good sell, for Chicago as they go forward, marketing that type of thing. I'm still kind of curious though, Bud. With the amount of money that college players make now, aside from what they do on the court, Angel comes into the league as a millionaire. As a few of them do with their endorsements. Obviously, Caitlin's another one. She just signed a big deal with Nike. I think ultimately, Caitlin has a chance to make about $20 million off of the Nike deal. Um, but she will be the league's marketing tool. She's going to be like their Jerry West. She may even be their logo in a sense, as she comes into the league. So I'll be curious to see what develops with Caitlin. But with Chicago, you know that's a pretty solid 1-2 punch. But like I said, I'd like to see, and I'm wanting to see how much Angel commits to playing and how much she commits to being about winning. You hear all the right things, but I need to see it on the court with her, and I'm not sure if that's going to be there. And if it's not, does it become a distraction for the team? So that's going to be kind of curious to me. I am massively curious about Indiana and seeing what Caitlin does with that. And I'm also curious to see what Caitlin does with all the backlash that seems to be directed at her right now. Yeah, I think it's great. I think so too.
yeah, yeah, I am looking forward to seeing because I
Yeah.
really want to see how Aaliyah Boston and Caitlin work together. On the court, I think they're gonna be fine together. I think it's such a great thing for Indiana to be able to get those two players back to back. I mean, Leah Boston was a hell of a ball player. Watching her play last year and this and that, I know Caitlin was the one that took him down stuff.
Oh
So
yeah,
it's kind of
definitely.
like
100%.
I guess it's one of those like nice to see you here, but dang it, man, you took me out. But I think it's great for them too. I think that Indiana's definitely going to be obviously way better. Um, that's Chicago. For me, I think they probably kind of stole the
Yeah.
draft there with getting those two.
Yeah.
It's insane how they got those two. And if it pans out right, and you can find a way, because I don't know their
Yeah.
roster,
Yeah.
obviously, I don't know how.
That's, I agree.
I don't know if they have other centers, other
I
big,
agree.
other bigs that they could use. But if it comes to a point where those two actually could be on the court at the same time, man, you're not getting the ball inside. You're not scoring. I'm sorry, but those are the twin. I mean, that to me, it's almost like a David Robinson, Tim Duncan thing right there, right? I mean, with those two, kind of like that. I mean, because I mean, those
Yeah.
two inside are they're in forces as far as being able to score. Obviously, I think Cardoso turned herself around to be just as good of a scorer as anybody else. But those two are just double doubles, right? I mean, easily. And I'm not talking that they're both going to light up the scoreboard. I think Reese is probably the better scorer than Cardoso, but Cardoso can score when she needs to. Cardoso's more of that blocker in there, but Reese can get some blocks too. That's why I'm saying I think they'd be a force. I think Chicago really stole that. Um, but the other thing I was going to bring up was kind of, and I don't know if you heard about this, and I think I did bring it up to you.
Well, and it's not so much
But
with
Kay
me
Martin
that
was
and
drafted by
I
the Las
applaud the
Vegas
fact that she
Aces.
was
Did you
drafted.
hear
It's
that
good
she
for me.
actually
It's great to
was
see.
not
I mean,
invited to the
but what I
draft?
don't like is seeing
And she
comments
was
made
just there
about an individual
basically
saying,
to
they don't
basically just
deserve
give
being
support to
drafted,
Caitlyn getting
that type of
drafted,
thing. And you know
and
where
ended
I'm
up getting
going with this. I
drafted by the
mean,
Las Vegas Aces,
when you've
which is one of the
got
best
people that
teams
come
in the
out like
league.
Tarazi,
What were your
and
thoughts
see,
on
here's
that?
my problem about it is Tarazi's this legendary basketball player. Now, I personally, I take exception to her because I think, and I'm not basing this on her talent. Her talent's off the charts. First ballot Hall of Famer, folks, everything that goes with that. She's a legendary ball player. But when you start shooting out comments about people that they don't deserve this and they don't deserve that, that's not representing the league. That's not, carrying the league and yourself with class. You need to be embracing the fact that somebody who really wasn't expected to be drafted at all is drafted. I mean, you got to embrace that and not beat people down because of what you perceive to be a lack of talent or whatever it may be, particularly when you're someone of caliber.
Yeah. Yeah, so basically, chat. Everybody, what we're talking about here is Diana Taurasi came out, basically talking about K Martin getting drafted, and basically her words somewhat were basically that she better be ready. She's not. This isn't college talent anymore out here. These are grown women, and basically kind of putting it out there that she, like Mike is
Yeah.
saying, in a way that she was not happy that she got drafted, and I don't. I feel like you should at least, even though they get drafted or whatever, if you don't believe that somebody should be drafted or not, it should be congratulatory, no matter what. I mean, this is something huge that they've made. I mean, like she said, she did not even think she was going to get drafted. She's just there supporting a teammate. But obviously, what she has done shows the best team in the league that they want her first. There's something that she can be helpful for on that team, and they liked what they seen with her. Which she's a great teammate. She's non-selfish. She's a great shooter. She can get to the basket. Good free
But
throw
see,
shooter.
that's the problem, bud.
What
When you
more
have
don't you
somebody
want?
like
That's
that
why
who's
Las
of
Vegas has been
that
winning. That's why
legendary
they're playing
status,
so. And you're
and they're
talking
throwing
about
out
this for a
comments,
team that had 9
whether
losses last
directly,
year, and
you know,
Tarazi, who was on a team that only had
put
9
at
wins
you or
last year.
just used as a
Okay,
reference,
you're
if
gonna
you
come out
will.
here
You
and
know
you're
what
gonna
that
tell her,
does to
oh,
that
be
potentially that
ready,
person's
you know,
psyche?
you don't think she's
I
gonna
mean,
know that? Of course she knows
that's
that, but that's not
again,
gonna
that's
change the
like
game.
that's like
You know
Brock
what I
Purdy
mean?
going into the league and Tom Brady, even though he's retired, saying, "Nah, Brock's okay, but there's a reason he's Mr. Irrelevant, so don't expect a whole lot." That type of thing. So if Brock is to hear that, I'm telling you that resonates with that person. They recall these things. So for Diane to come out and do that, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
and I don't really care much for her, folks. I just think over time. I don't know, she's a legendary ball player, but I think sometimes she gets caught up in the hype and the image and
Yeah.
just what she feels she's obviously brought to the game, but I think sometimes she's allowed to sort of exaggerate to a point. And that's unfortunate because right now, as Anthony and I have talked about, the WNBA has a chance to really, really go out and manifest this talent that's coming into the league into something much bigger than what they've experienced. We all know the WNBA is struggling financially,
Yeah.
attendance, and it's because it just haven't always had, a huge collection of talent at one time. But the ladies that are coming in now, Juju and these type of girls that are coming in the next couple of seasons, I mean, you got a chance here to really change the face of the WNBA. So as a veteran Hall of Fame to be, embrace the talent that's come in, whether you feel they're ultimately deserving or not. Give them a chance. Let them get out there and prove it before you run your mouth and say this and that. I mean, come on, Deanna. The ladies that are coming now, Juju and this type of girls that are coming in the next couple of seasons. I mean, you got a chance here to really change the face of the WNBA. So as a veteran Hall of Fame to be, embrace the talent that's coming in, whether you feel they're ultimately deserving or not. Give them a chance. Let them get out there and prove it before you run your mouth and say this and that. I mean, come on.
Yeah. No, I'm with you, Mike. I'm with you on this one. So good, good talks on this one. But moving on. Recently, Tiger Woods was once again in the Masters, right? So, Mike, I know you have talked
Well,
or
we had a
missed
segment on this,
shows
last
that we
year
have
where
done
I kind of
about
berated
Tiger
Tiger
Woods
and
and how you
and
talked about
basically
him
thought
and
that
how you
aside
can't
from
stand
from
that.
an event such as the
He
Masters,
made his way
folks,
back
where if
into
you if
the
you if
Masters,
you earn a
was
green
able to get
jacket, if you
to
win
all
the
4 days of it,
Masters,
but
then
still finished
obviously
at
the
plus
standing rule is you'll
16.
always be invited
What
back because
were
you
your
you
thoughts
won
on
at
him and
least
how he
one
couldn't get the
one
Masters?
Masters tournament, so to speak. So, and I get that. My beef, my problem with Tiger is that, and I get he's competitive, but aside from events like the Masters, you're at a point in your career where it's just not there anymore. It's not there physically. The talent's diminished. I know you've got the physical problems. So to continue to step out onto these various tournaments and attempt to compete, I think is just it's almost laughable in the sense that I understand you're competitive, but you got to be realistic here. You're not going to finish in the top 10. You're not going to finish in the top 20. So Tiger, start thinking about just relegating yourself to just the four majors if you want to. Now with the Masters, like Anthony's talking about, I tip my hat to Tiger. You managed to get through all four rounds at what's with everything that's going on with you. That's phenomenal. I tip my hat to you. Congratulations. For not 1 second that I believe you're going to win, not for 1 second that I believe you're going to finish in the top 10, top 15, that type of thing. But you've earned the right to come back every year. I don't care if you're, 65 years old, come back and play. You've earned that right. So I do. I tip my hat to him with everything that's going on with him physically, that he played to the level that he could play. Um, I thought it was almost admirable. But aside from that, Tiger, you got to be realistic here. Just start working with your son, coaching your son. Let's see how his game begins to develop. Yeah, because it sounds like he's got a potential. He's got potential there to be at least a pretty good golfer. So I think that's where you really need to start looking. And just if you want to continue to play the Masters, that's great. That's great. Congratulations. More power to you. But let's be realistic. No, I didn't either. I, yep.
Yeah, no, I mean, I was actually, I'm not gonna lie, I actually am surprised he did get through all 4 days. I didn't think he would. I thought he was able to maybe get through two, possibly push through three, but he would miss the cut. But there was a lot of shots out there that he kind of looked like vintage Woods. I think there was one on, I believe, hole
Yeah.
15. He was, out of the bunker in front. I mean, he hits it behind this hole and it just comes rolling back, almost goes in, leaves it like a foot away or something from the cup. But he had some plays out there. Obviously, there's still some drives he um, was still missing, things like that. Like you said, same thing. His son is looks like he's gonna be a tremendous golfer growing up too. He knows a lot. He was giving his dad, pointers, everything, trying to go through it. And I think they even mentioned something at one point in time saying that he's like, just listen to me, Dad. We'll be okay. So, and it's like it comes to a point where that could be true for him. I mean, Tiger got to understand too that you know, Father Time beats everybody, right? Sooner or later, Father Time just gets everybody. And it's a sport like we've talked about though too that you can play for quite a long time. I mean, you can be out there in your 80s, 90s, that can still play in that sport. So, but no, I thought he actually played really well. Considering it's nice to see him back out there at the Masters. It's always good just to see his name in there, just to see him out there. But there was no thought in my mind too that he's gonna win this or
You
even
know, for
be
me, and like you talked about,
somewhat
but I really
close
thought
towards the
two
end or
rounds, he's
anything like
done,
that.
he's toast. I thought he was gonna have like,
Um,
I'm not, this is no
kind of
exaggeration,
basically where
folks.
he's
This is
at
just,
now is kind of what
but
I'm
I mean, it's
calling
really,
it. That
I'm
he'd
thinking
be
Tiger's
maybe a
gonna be in the
little bit
plus
better. The
20s.
plus 16 was a little
You know,
high,
he's
but
done
I
after
thought maybe
two.
he could have been like a
So like
plus. I
Anthony
thought
talking about,
maybe
and
he'd be
then
like a
okay,
plus
you
like
know, if a
9,
rainbow drops
10,
down
somewhere
and it
around
shines
there.
on the golf
That's
course,
what I
then
kind
maybe
of
he
thought he
finishes
would
3 rounds, and that's a pretty good accomplishment. But obviously, he managed to do the whole four, and you know, at least I won't say be
Yeah,
competitive,
no,
but
no,
at
no, no,
least he, you know,
no.
he managed to represent, you know, himself to the best of his ability. And I really think with Tiger anymore, but I think it's just it's this is where I struggle with you. And we talked about this. You know, I think the fans. I hope the fans of Tiger are realistic in what they see. And the networks obviously are going to manipulate it just because it's the name Tiger. So you know, if you throw him out there, well, hey, we'll generate views. The people will come out, but that's not really fair anymore because you're obviously looking to involve the best golfers available. And I get it. Now with the Masters, it's a completely different story. Again, you've earned the right to be there until you're dead. If they can prop you up and you can swing, then they'll let you go do it. And I have no problem. I really don't have a problem with that. But when we extend out beyond that particular, golf tournament or the other three majors, then you're being a little bit ridiculous. And
Yeah.
to parade this guy out into just some random event in Ohio or Philadelphia or Pennsylvania, whatever you want to do, just for the name, when you know good and well he can't finish. And fans, if you're fans of
Yeah.
Tiger, come on. I mean, you saw what he could do, but that's my point. You saw what he could do. What you're seeing now is what he can't do. So let it just everybody move on away from this. I mean, he's one of the greatest golfers ever. As much as I'm not really a fan of his anymore, I'll always acknowledge that he's probably the greatest golfer in history. But come on, people, you got to move on at some point.
Yep.
Maybe his son at some point.
Is it better? I don't know why. Is that there's not is that good? Okay. All right. All right, everybody, welcome back. Just kind of going over some things here, looking at everything. Looks like the Lakers are up 31-25 to the Nuggets right now. 35 seconds left in the first. The Knicks did hold on to that lead, 111-104 over the Sixers. So not bad. I mean, a few games so far that I guess. Yeah, yeah. I'm wondering what's kind of going on there. The Nuggets gonna have a not gonna be down at the end of the first, so wonder what's going on there. Let's see. I mean, so
Is
far,
Porter,
kind of looking at the box score here. What do we show?
is
LeBron
Porter
James
playing?
leading scorer with 10 points right now for the Lakers. AD's got 6. Jokic 11 points. He's been Watson at 8 points for the Nuggets. Just no good play right now. The Nuggets looks like they're having trouble shooting right now too. 65% from the field for the Lakers to start the game. 44 for the Nuggets. Yeah, he is playing 2 points, 1 rebound, 1 for 4 from the field right now, 0 for 2 from the 3-point line. So and that's what I'm saying. This is kind of what I was going back to, right? Talking about is, these other guys got to step up. Jokic can't just be sitting there with 11 points. Murray's only
Oh
got
yeah,
2. Porter's got 2.
yeah.
Gordon's got 2. 6 points from those guys so far. They got to step up. There's got to be a little bit more push to them. Obviously, the Lakers look like they're doing well. AD here, but everybody, um, looks like now we are going into. It is time for top 10. Right here.
They're all-
All right, so it is time for top 10. And like we said, everybody, today we are doing the top 10 cars. Like I
I
said,
think
some
so
of
too. I
those will
think
be specific
well, I
cars,
don't say
some of
everybody. I
them
mean, but I
are
think a lot of
just like a
people just
random
have some type of
small
interest in
sort,
vehicles. I
anything like that. But
mean,
I think you guys should enjoy
whether
this.
it's
This is actually kind of fun for me
affordability or
because
its
you said it yourself that
efficiency
you
or
might
it's how
enjoy
they
this.
look, that
Mike
type of
said
thing.
he
Everybody,
really
for
liked
the
it too
most
on this
part,
one.
to a
So
degree, has
give
some
a lot of
interest in
credit to him.
vehicles,
He's the one that drew
cars,
this, and you guys
and
kind
and
of
that
helped
type
me
of
kind
thing.
of
So
pick.
it's a pretty
I
cool
think a lot of
topic, I
people will
thought.
like what we come up with.
Well, my number 10, folks, is a Bugatti Chiron. Now, I'm a very surfaced guy when it comes to vehicles, folks. A very, uh, you know, for the most part, just kind of what the cars look like is a big draw to me. So the aesthetics of a vehicle is what first draws me to anything. But the Bugatti itself is a high performance vehicle, obviously a very expensive vehicle. I can't personally say I've had a chance to drive one, but, but certainly I'd like to have a chance at some point in my life. Um, but it's I'm really drawn to again high performance vehicles, and this has always been one that I thought was just aesthetically pleasing. Um, a very high end vehicle, very quality vehicle, and just one that appeals to me from back end to front end. Um, and that's kind of what I'm driven. As you see, as the list progresses, I think there's an underlying connection with all the vehicles that I'm looking at, is to that a lot of them are sports related, uh, almost racing type vehicles. So there's a theme to the cars that have attracted me over the years, and the Bugatti was one of those. So that wasn't my top 10, but really. Yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely. I like that one. I do have a Bugatti here on my list. It's not the Chiron one, but
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
as we get
exactly.
into our list a little more, you'll see where I have it and which one I have picked. A great car, Mike. I like that one a lot. Bugatti's just one of those cars too, right? For us, it's just always like you have to see them out there. You're not gonna ever purchase one, right? It's the way for us like to be able to purchase it. But when you see it, it's pretty exciting and pretty cool to see, right? So no, I like that one for sure. But moving on for me, my number 10 is going to be the F-150 Raptor. Yeah, that one is definitely one of the trucks that I've always really liked. I haven't been a huge truck guy growing up. I was always the I like the sports cars. I like the fast stuff. You're used to playing Need for Speed and all that other stuff, right?
Have you actually
But
had a chance to
for
drive one,
me,
Ben?
well, as I've gotten older, I've really enjoyed trucks more. And the Raptor has been the one for me that I've really liked. I think it's pretty cool. It's got that sport feeling to it, on top of the truck feeling, things like that too. Um, but yeah, for me, the Ford, the Raptor is actually going to be in my top, my number 10 for that with one of those trucks. I have not had a chance to drive one. I've seen quite a bit on the road, and
Yeah,
I've
I've
actually
seen them,
heard
never driven
from
one, obviously.
people I've
I'm
worked
not
with
a truck
that
person
have
per
said that they've
se,
tried them and drove them and
but I
said
have a
that
great
man, they're fun.
appreciation. This is
They're
my
fun
thing
to
too,
drive.
folks. You can take a vehicle,
I
and
wish I could. If I
obviously,
could
we
one
all
day, that'd be
know,
great.
for you, for
Just to
you, for
get
those
some
of you out there
comfort
that are car
wheels
enthusiasts,
running
truck
around. Because like I
enthusiasts,
said, I've heard they're fun
more specifically,
to be in.
it's always been fascinating for me, but to also see people, take old vehicles, junker vehicles, and they just restore them, that type of thing. And or they with trucks or whatever you want to do, they lift them, those type of things, modifications, whatnot. Um, but I'm also appreciative of vehicles that they just stand out as is, as they came off the assembly line. And one of those is what you're talking about. It's a beautiful looking vehicle. It's a
Yeah.
nice looking truck.
Yep.
Obviously, colors are personal choice, but and high end quality vehicle too. I've heard great things, about that particular vehicle. Um, uh, but so it's those kind of things
Yeah.
that I think is personal with
Definitely.
everybody. But not being just a necessarily a truck person, I can still appreciate the fact that there's some beautiful, beautiful trucks out there, and that's definitely one of them. But good choice. Well, folks, as I said, there's going to be an underlying theme for me personally. It could be with Bud too, but we'll see. We'll see how that one plays out. But for me, again, as I mentioned, I'm very much am a big fan of sports car.
Definitely, for
Uh,
sure. For sure.
well,
Well, moving
basically
on.
sports cars, just period, really. But
Well,
or if they don't, they either sound like it,
what
look like it,
is
drive
going
like
to
it,
be
that type of
your
thing. And for
number
me, a
9?
Ferrari is Ferrari. Period is one of my favorite brands. Period. But as I mentioned to Bud earlier, the Ferrari F40 is probably one of my favorite vehicles. I'm a big fan of what Ferrari does on the race circuit, and I think it translates to the street. I don't know if I'd want to drive a Ferrari F40 on a regular, street because they do ride low to
Yeah.
the ground.
Yeah.
But and I know again. Yeah, no. But and I tell you what, folks. And you even saw this. I don't know how many people ever saw the show Magnum PI.
Oh, it's fine. She
I mean,
it was
Tom
fine
Selleck,
in
in
vacation with
Magnum
it.
PI, he drove a Ferrari. So Ferrari's always been a fascination of mine, just
She
as a
never hit
brand.
anything. She just
They
kept
make so
going
many
right by.
outstanding vehicles. It's always hard to pick.
They're
One of my
fine.
favorite
They're
colors with
fine on there.
vehicles is red. And a Ferrari in a red just blows me away. And I've seen a Ferrari F40 in a red, and I just interior, exterior, there's nothing about this vehicle that I do not like. It's from 0 to 60, it's insane. I'm not even sure I would know how to handle that kind of power. But if anybody ever out there, wants to let me have a chance to see, I promise I won't wreck it. But if you let me just drive it 10 feet, I just would love to give it a shot. But a Ferrari F40 number 9 for me is a solid choice. But I love the look, and I do love the sound of the vehicle too. Yeah, I have seen one.
Oh, definitely.
Yep, yep,
No, it's a good one. I like it. I like it a lot. Oh yeah, yeah. It's clean. It's a clean sound to that vehicle. Yeah. No, I agree. I like it. Like I said, if none of you guys have seen it, it's in the movie Vacation. If you haven't seen the movie Vacation, I would definitely go out and see that movie for sure. But no, I absolutely love it. Ferrari is not on my list at all, Mike. I didn't get to put any Ferraris in there, unfortunately. But I agree with you. If I had to pick one, this is the one that I would choose to as far as Ferrari. So great, great, great choice on that one for sure. I like that a lot. So let's see here. Moving on to
yep. I can almost agree with that. I can
mine
almost agree
now.
with that.
Here we are going to.
Oh,
go with
still
the
am. I still am.
Dodge Viper. And I'll tell you what, funny story about this one. This was like, if we were doing this like probably like 10 years ago, 15 years ago, this Viper would probably be number one, number two on my list. I used to be a huge fan. Yeah, I used to be a huge fan of the Dodge Vipers. Yeah, yeah, no, I like them. I do like them. Obviously, I've gotten a little bit less into it because there's, as you could tell,
Mm.
getting into some more on my list, you'll understand why. Obviously, it's just a lot smaller than this and that, but it's a beautiful car. And actually, the reason I fell in love with the Viper is because growing up, obviously we've talked about this. I was been a huge video game person, so I was able to one of the first games I had on the PS1 it was called Test Drive. It was regular test drive, and the first car you could use to drive with it is a Dodge Viper. That's one of the first cars you get, and I've seen this Viper on there, and I fell in love with it. Honestly, that's just kind of where my love for it went. I love the speed of it, the handling of the game was on there, and then I actually was able to see one just driving
Yeah, I
around
tell
one
you
time,
what,
and I'm like,
folks.
man, someday I'm gonna have one
Anthony
of those.
mentioned the
Which
Viper. I
unfortunately now
absolutely
I will
love this
not. I
vehicle.
can
I do.
guarantee
I
you
can
that.
remember
I
when they
will never
first
have
came
this
out,
Viper only because
and it was one of
one,
the coolest vehicles I'd
it's
ever seen
highly
in my
expensive,
entire life. But I
and
mean, in my
two,
entire life.
I can't fit the
And I
family.
remember
I can't have a vehicle I
I
can't fit
could
the
be
family
misquoted
in.
here,
So,
folks, but I do believe the very first person in the United States to own one was Jay Leno, the Tonight Show, a comedian, all that stuff. So if I understand correct, if I recall correctly, and for those of you that know Jay Leno, his reputation, he has a massive,
yeah,
car collection. But my understanding is that he owned the very first Dodge Viper in the United States. And that might have been around the time I'd actually started becoming
oh,
familiar with
okay,
the Dodge Viper. And obviously, you've seen them. I have literally seen these vehicles, and you see more now because I think now more so the Vipers. I think it's more of a collector's item than it is anything else.
oh yeah, yeah,
So if you do get, like you're talking about, if you were able to get one, you wouldn't drive it very often because it's a
no,
collectible. It's a collector's item now. And you see them at auctions and things like that. But sleek, just a beautiful design of a vehicle. It's one of the prettiest I've ever seen in my entire life. Don't care what the color is. I've seen them in different colors. I would have no preference to color. I just like to say I have a
yeah.
Dodge Viper sitting in my garage. Just an absolutely beautiful car. And this vehicle is actually on my list. But that's a phenomenal choice, bud. And even the name, how can you not like a vehicle that's called Viper?
I
Does it
agree.
get tougher than that? Yeah.
I agree.
Okay.
Definitely.
No, yeah.
Viper, right? That's what I was saying. That's the other cool thing about it is the name of it. Yeah, the Viper. And that was the other thing because growing
Yeah, and
up,
almost like you remember. You
I was
don't know if
big
you
on
recall
snakes
those.
and this and
There was
that. I
a
love
Cobra
snakes. I
Mustang.
remember the first one I went to in elementary
Yeah, I
school. My
mean, and
older
just
brother
it
went,
wasn't
and he
so
had a
much.
snake in his
Yeah, it wasn't
house.
so much just that it was a Mustang,
Growing
but
up
it had
too,
that name
and
Cobra. It's almost like
so and even
there's
remember
vehicles
with
that have
Tyler.
tough
You
names,
remember
Viper,
my friend
Cobra.
Tyler?
You
Yeah,
can't beat that.
he was big on snakes too. So yeah. So that was the other thing. It's like it's a viper, it's a snake. Like that thing. That's cool.
Yes, sir. So, folks,
Yeah, yeah.
now this one's kind of
The Shelby
obscure,
Cobra.
and this is on my list for very personal reasons.
Yeah,
My number 8 is a Honda Del Sol, and I don't know how many
exactly.
people remember
Right.
these. They were little
Yeah.
sports
All
cars
right. Well,
back
moving
in
on
the
then,
the
Mike. We are
90s.
going on to your
But I just fell in love with these
8,
vehicles when I
correct?
saw them, and I told myself because I didn't have one at the time, but when they first came out, I told myself because they were semi-affordable. And but I told myself, I said, man, I said at some point I'm gonna have a Honda Del Sol because what was cool about them, folks, and Anthony rode in this vehicle, his sister did too. Um, but what was very cool about this car, the coolest aspect of it was that it was a convertible basically, but it had a hard shell top. But you could literally
Yeah.
pop it loose and it slid right into your trunk. Just slid right into place. It was a quick pop and go type of thing. So you went from hard top to convertible in about 5 minutes tops. Beautiful car, great on mileage. It looked awesome, sounded great, got pretty good gas mileage too. Unfortunately, on the back end, it wound up being stolen and literally stripped of parts. I've never felt more sad about a vehicle in my life, but because they did recover the vehicle, folks, and I had to go down to the yard to identify it and everything, and to take out anything that might have been left. And I was actually sad when I walked away from the car because that was the last time I was going to see it, and that just kind of really made me feel bad.
Yeah.
My all-time to this day, folks, the Honda del Sol is my absolute personal favorite of any car that I've had. And I think it's honest for me to say, even if I could have a car like a Dodge Viper or something like that, I would still have a fondness for my old Honda del Sol because that was at the time my dream car for what I could afford, and I had a chance to actually get my dream. So that holds a spot with me in my heart. And Bud got to drive it, folks. This is the first cars he ever drove. He was okay, folks. We won't go into age because police make law enforcement may be paying attention, but I mean, I took him out to parking lots to teach him how to drive, so it wasn't like we were cruising the
Yeah.
streets.
Oh, that's cool. No, I remember totally. I remember that car for sure. I
But
remember we
not
had it.
bad, not
Remember when?
bad, folks, not
Yeah,
bad.
we did. We drove both. Yeah. And my sister actually sideswiped a light pole with it too. So,
Yeah.
well, we thought it was bad at the time when she hit it. That's for sure. No, but a great car, Mike. I do remember that. That was we remember. That was you.
Oh
We seen
wow,
the car coming down
that's
the
a
street.
nice
We
one.
already knew that. Oh, there's Mike. We see that's his car. We already knew that for sure. So, no, great one for sure. I like it. I like it a lot. Moving on to mine here.
Hey, real quick,
My
Bud,
number
real
eight
quick,
is
before you
the
finish. So,
Jeep
and I meant to ask you this on your
Grand
last choice.
Cherokee
Do you
SRT8.
feel like you said when you grew up it was sports cars, and now it sounds like
Yeah,
there's a little bit of
yeah.
a transition to it's
I
still a very
really,
nice
really like
vehicle,
the
but more
SRT8s. And like I
family
said, so
oriented.
before I was really kind of
Okay.
like you, Mike, with I like the
Okay.
vehicles. I stick more to
But
just
nice.
cars, the muscle cars, this that.
But still looks good. Still looks good.
Yeah, basically that's kind of what it is. Yeah, I mean, there's lot of it that goes into it. Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
I love the bigger
Hey, but
feeling.
what's
I
your
like the
favorite
bigger
color
cars. I
for a
want an
vehicle? What is your
SUV.
favorite?
I'm kind of getting to that point, and it probably is right. It's
Really?
more of a family thing, having more room for us. Oh yeah, I mean these things are beautiful. Not only do they look great, I mean they sound great. I mean you got the power too with them too. That's the other thing. Oh man, the power is insane on those SRT8s.
Why blue? Do you know?
Well, I'll tell you what, it's blue for sure, and a lot of the chat can see these
Yeah.
when you're watching it. A lot of my pictures from my cars are blue. That's the
When's
things
the
that I
first time you
showed on
saw the
these.
Cherokee? Do you
But
recall?
no, yeah, it is. Blue. I guess I would have to say would be
Have you driven
would
one?
probably be my
Okay,
favorite
okay.
color of a car. It's not just my favorite color. Blue's always just been my favorite color for everything. I mean, when it comes down to anything, color to wear. I mean, if somebody just asks you what's your favorite color, it's just blue. That's just my favorite. You know what? I believe I had seen one. I haven't driven one of these either. First time I actually seen one was working at O'Reilly's. There was a guy that had came in to try to get parts and stuff like that, and got him some parts. Sold them to him, whatever, and then watched him drive off. And I was like, man, that thing. What is? I was like, what is that at first? Because
You know what's
he was
funny
like, man,
is
that
I
looks
never
like a
really paid
Jeep. And
attention
then
to Grand
is it a Jeep? I
Cherokees
was saying, what's
until
in that
I met
thing?
my
And
wife,
that was right
and
basically
she's
around the
never
time that it
had
was coming
one.
out and stuff too.
But
So,
that's her
um,
dream vehicle is a Grand
but yeah, I
Cherokee.
absolutely
That
love
is
these
her
vehicles.
dream.
I think
It
they're
is a
great
Grand
looking. Like I said, it's
Cherokee,
more
and I
spacious.
had
So
never paid
I'm
attention to
into
these.
more
I'm sure
bigger
I had seen
vehicles
them.
now too, more than anything.
But when she started talking to me about that and she would start pointing them out to me, and we're going back a few years, obviously, not even talking about the newer models, but because of what she's talked about and everything, so you begin to notice more, much like you probably would do, with Kayla.
Oh, nice.
Um, but once, I became familiar with what was her dream car, I was actually impressed by what I saw, the mileage, everything, the look like you're talking about, a lot of power, a lot of power. And I really am more impressed now with what I see with the newer ones and what I saw originally with just driving around and what she was
Yeah.
pointing out to me. These are beautiful vehicles. I'm not so much along those lines myself, and I think in part because I don't have kids. That's why I was kind of curious about that, but because understandably, it kind of makes sense. You're going to transition to vehicles that you like, but ones that are more family oriented. But I don't think you could really do much better than a Grand Cherokee. I mean, that's a beautiful looking vehicle.
Yeah.
Great choice. All right, folks, now we get into a little bit of muscle, some power. I like a Ford GT Mustang. Those things are bad. I can't use the other word because this is a family show, but I love Ford GTs. I love Ford products, period. With Mustangs, I've always been a fan, much like with Ferraris.
What do you got next? Here?
Mustangs have always been a thing with me, and the very first time I became familiar with Mustangs, period, was when we went to visit my dad's brother back in North Carolina when I was about 7 years old, and he had a '66 Mustang. It wasn't a GT, but that was the first time I had seen Mustangs, and I was fascinated by them. But that was the first time I had a chance to actually ride in any type of Mustang. And that was a time when I told myself, man, and it was red, and that was it. That was done. A red Mustang. This is like it. And it was just the greatest experience. And I became a fan of Mustangs on that particular day when I had a chance to ride in my uncle's vehicle. But the Ford GT, if you look at it, it screams power. It just screams power. If you hear it, you know it's got power. And it's got a beautiful look. And I just love the way Mustangs look. Typically, they're two doors, particularly with the power, with the muscle cars. And I'm a big fan of muscle cars. Never had one. Hopefully, maybe someday. I don't think that's too far outside the magical wish list. But I absolutely love Ford GTs. Ford is a product that's a Mustang more specifically. But Mustangs just do it for me. I wish I could get one, maybe someday, but a Ford GT Mustang. But really? Oh man.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm actually same with you on this. I actually have the GT
That's the
at
kind of
6
car,
on my
bud. You're going to
list.
get out. You want to just
Yeah,
get out on
I
an
do.
empty
I
highway,
love what you're
nobody's
saying about
around,
that.
and just put the hand
Love
on
the
the floor
look
and
of it.
just
It does got
and
that just smooth
yep,
feeling.
yep.
Like you said, screams power. I
Beautiful,
mean, you can just
beautiful.
see that thing just flying through right when you're driving that. I mean, you're low inside there. It's kind of got that Lamborghini look to it a little bit too. Things like that.
Oh, I've seen
Yeah, just
these.
let her
You know what?
fly.
I have not seen one
Let
in
her
person. I
fly.
have seen them on videos, and
Hmm.
these cars
I'm
look
with you.
absolutely
I'm with
phenomenal.
you for sure on that. I'm with you. Moving on to my next one. I am with the Dodge
I've heard.
Charger Hellcat. Yeah. Oh, see this. You're talking about the other thing, like you were just talking
What
about
for?
the
But are
scream
they
power.
about? What are they about?
The
60? Do you
Hellcat,
know?
when you hear Hellcat and the look from the front of those, it just
Eight?
looks like it's just mean, right? Like it's got that mean, hard
Gee
look to it. That
whiz.
Hellcat just sounds amazing. It's that muscle car feel to it. I
I have seen
absolutely
the
love these
interior on these
Hellcats,
cars too.
man.
Now,
I
again,
like them
folks,
a
I have
lot.
not seen one in person. I have seen them on
Ooh,
videos.
the Hellcat, man. I think they're
You know, where
probably
they're
in
actually
that
kind of not really.
80,
Well, some are just
90.
taking on it.
Yeah, I mean, I think for those. Well, let's see. Maybe I can try to find out for sure.
Gee
Yeah, you might.
whiz.
Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it is maybe around
Price,
like
price,
60 to
price.
70. Uh,
And I've seen the inside of these cars. Yeah, I've seen the inside of these vehicles on videos and whatnot.
no, like right here
And
it
I've
is.
seen videos where they were literally
Selling
taking them down the street
here
for a test drive. So you've got
88,000,
like the inside, look
95,000.
like you're almost like you're the driver. So you do get down. And
Yeah, I
granted,
mean, I
you're
guess
listening
it's
to the sound of it on a video, so
90. So
it's
about
gonna pale
yeah,
compared to
probably
what you'd
about
hear.
that.
I've not
Sounds about
seen
right. 80
one
to 90.
in
Yeah,
person,
for the
which I'm curious
Hellcat.
to see. What I'd love to see it in person and see what it sounds like. Because these cars look absolutely beautiful and they sound like they would be awesome to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That's a great choice. Now, so if it wasn't blue, what's your secondary color choice? Really? See, so and back to my Del Sol
Yeah.
Flores black. That's my one regret, but black
Yeah, they
everything
sound pretty
shows.
mean. That's
Everything
for sure.
shows. So
It definitely sounds
that's the
mean.
only
But
drawback.
yeah, no,
Um,
that's what I have
but I
for
can
it.
still see it. That'd still be a sweet look on any car. It is. You know. but with the one you're talking about with black, that'd be awesome.
Black.
That's a good choice, bud. That's a good choice. All right, folks. So I won't speak on this one very long because Bud already touched on this. It is a Dodge Viper. Again, just a great looking vehicle.
Yeah.
If my wife and I ever come into a lot of money, I've always told her I would want to have a decent car collection. Bud and I've talked about this too. And I will tell you this, depending on the amount of wealth that we might be fortunate enough to have, I would like to have a car collection, and a Dodge Viper would be part of that collection. I would have more of an older collection of vehicles, but one that you could say was more current. Uh, You know, sometimes I've wondered, kind of like, and you probably did it too. Like if you really had a chance to sit behind the wheel of that particular vehicle, like the one you were just talking about, I mean, what would it actually feel like? Would you be intimidated by it? Would you be like, no, let's just go out and just? I'd be intimidated.
He's like, no, now you guys can take the Del Sol now. Yeah, it's fine. Go ahead, take that one.
Yeah.
I know. Oh, I would be scared. I would be so scared to want to even go
That's
anywhere.
That's not it, huh?
Like,
just go out, maybe start it up, let the engine run, just look at it. Pull out a lawn chair, get yourself some tea, sit there, and just tell yourself, I cannot believe this car is sitting in my driveway, kind of thing. But that is one of the cars I would have, of course, in my personal collection would be a Dodge Viper, without
I own a Viper. There you go. I don't go nowhere, but I own one. Yeah. For sure. Love it. Absolutely love it. All right. Well, basically, like I said, we're not going to spend much time on this next one because my next one after this is the Ford GT. Basically, like Mike said, this thing is it's beautiful. I love the look of this one. This does give you that race car feel. Like it just, like Mike said earlier, it just screams power. Literally, I mean, like I said, it's got that kind of Lambo feel to it in the back area. That's kind of something I do like, as you'll see later on, going on in through the list. But no, absolutely a great vehicle. It's just one of those cars where, for me, it's like right now it ain't gonna work.
Yeah, and again, you just can't go wrong with vehicles like that. And I really don't think ultimately with any of the vehicles that are on our list, folks. And again, like we talked about before we started the list,
I mean,
these aren't we're not basing these on the popularity of vehicles. These are all based on our personal favorite, so to speak. And that's the biggest part of what we're doing with any of these lists we do. But with the cars, again, it's whether we've had a chance to drive them, we just saw them, TV, driving down the street, that type of thing, that you just become so fascinated by them that you just think it'd be cool to have or at least drive one time. And so again, like Bud's talking about,
definitely.
Yeah. Maybe you can't get one now, but it's something that you think to yourself, it's not so unreachable that at some point you can't see yourself not being able to have it in your possession, and having is something that you could actually literally physically drive at least for a day, something like that. But yeah, that kind of thing. Totally. I mean, again, great choice, Bud. And I mean, how can you beat it? I mean, how can you beat it? You can't. That's something that you want. I mean, so what more could you ever ask for with any of these vehicles?
Yeah.
All right, folks, this is where I go throwback on everybody. I'm talking throwback. I'm going back all the way to 1930s,
right?
Specifically around 1932, I believe, as a 32 Ford. And I say this, folks, because I have a huge fascination with old cars. I'm talking, again, Corvettes and Mustangs, but I go all the way back. One of my dream cars is a restored 32 Ford. I have never ridden in one, but again, if I ever had the chance, this would be a part of my personal collection. I have seen a number of these vehicles restored in person, on TV, at auctions, that type of thing. And without a doubt, you're obviously not talking power, very simple in design, but when they are restored, they're one of the most beautiful vehicles you could ever see in your entire life. and I see people driving them down the road on occasion, and they're fully restored. They're just absolutely cherried out, and it just you look at that and you just I get blown away by the fact that you're looking at a vehicle that's almost 100 years old sometimes where we're at now, and they can
Right?
still look
Yeah.
like that, and these people are driving them. They don't go more than 10 miles an hour apparently, but I mean at least you're looking good driving it. And I just that's one of my dream cars is a 32 I don't even know if I'd be able to drive one, but I mean, they obviously work off, their
Right.
standards. I
Yeah.
mean, you'd have to be working a clutch. And when I look inside to see how the clutch would work and everything, the stick or whatever, it looks like it's difficult to navigate.
Hey, I don't know. In American Graffiti, that thing kind of got
Really?
moving.
Oh, that's awesome, bud.
He had that thing moving.
Exactly.
No, yeah. Hey, I'm with you, Mike. This is on my list, and we'll talk about it later when we get to it. Oh yeah, I actually love part of it, like you said, it comes to with the movie, the American Graffiti, things like that. I run into it, and then I've actually seen some of these come to some of the car shows that we've had at Pet Boy. Because we were talking about car shows, and I actually didn't even think about we even had some car shows at there because I didn't get to see a lot of them because I worked inside more. But we actually did have like two car shows when I worked for Pet Boys at one point, so I kind of forgot about that until I just thought of this now. And some of those guys brought some of these in, and they were just amazing to see. And fun, it looks like it's just it's a cool feeling. You could tell it's old school. There's something about an old school vehicle that also gives you that cool feeling because there's a lot of old school cars. You're just like, I'm not driving that anymore.
Yeah,
That's
and
that's
it's just
just
like you
old
said,
already,
but
right?
American Graffiti
But
is a
that gives
total
you the cool
throwback
feeling. This
car,
one's still the cool feeling
and
to
just
it. It
very
feels
simple in
like it's
design. But man,
it
if I
almost
ever had a
looks like
chance, that
even
is
though you
one of
said
my
like
absolute
sometimes it
dream
does say
cars,
super
folks. That is one of
submarine,
my
it's not a
absolute
powerful
dream
vehicle, but it's like
vehicles.
it looks like it could be. You know what I mean? That's exactly what it is. So, but no, I love it, Mike. This is a great one for sure. Nice. No, definitely. All right. Well, moving on for me,
Yep.
going in to the next one will be the Lamborghini, and when I come with that, it does not matter to me. It could be any kind of Lambo. I'm talking the McLaren, Diablo, whatever it is. The SUVs, I think they've done a great job with their SUVs too. It's just something about a Lambo, right? You hear Lambo, I mean, it's just expensive, it's fast, it's crazy. It looks, you could tell. I mean, it's got its own look to it.
Still is, yeah.
You could tell when it's a Lamborghini type
It really
stuff. I
is.
mean, the emblem itself is cool. The name of it, Lambo, Lamborghini. It's just everything that you could like about a vehicle. And it's one of those. It was like the first ones you ever heard of when it was like, man, you're getting into a next tier of cars, right? That's the main when somebody's talking about that next tier, like,
It was a status
yeah,
symbol.
for sure. Oh yeah, I
Yeah.
mean,
The thing that was
shoot,
always
you
curious to
can
me
get
about
a
it, you talked
Honda
about this
Civic
just a
now
little bit
for
ago
almost sixty
with one
thousand
of the
dollars. So
vehicles.
I
And
mean,
it is true, though.
this amount
I
of
mean, if you
cars
had
is
something like a
ridiculous
Lamborghini,
now.
if you had something
But
like
no,
a
I'm just saying,
Ferrari, and because it
growing
rides
up,
so low
right?
to the
It's like
ground,
if you
and
were
you see people
if you
drive these,
were known
right?
for
We see them
having lots
driving
of
them
money
around the
to drive,
streets. I
you're in
mean,
the
we're
Lambo,
talking
right?
public
That was the
streets,
thing, the
not just
Lamborghini.
out on the highway, that type of thing. But here's the
Yeah,
thing, though.
exactly.
I mean, and I always think about this. They ride so low to the ground. I mean, you really would be hard pressed to. I mean, because that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, no.
Oh, oh, you're not. Well, you're not taking that. You. That's why a lot of these you're only seeing these cars in Florida, in
Yeah.
Phoenix, I mean Arizona, something like that, California, where you're not going to get a lot of
Yeah,
precipitation.
because
Definitely no
really,
snow.
I
You're
mean, I
not
get
driving
it,
that in
people
snow a lot
driving, but
ever
ultimately, it's like
at all. I mean, so no
it
snow
has,
for
you
sure.
almost have to
Rain. I
view it as
mean,
an
occasionally, yes,
investment.
you probably are,
I
but
mean, you
yeah,
really
no, I
do.
mean that's what I'm
I
saying. If you're
mean,
driving in these
it's,
hot states
typically
where
you're
they
not
don't
passing
have
it
any
on to your
precipitation very
kids
much of
because,
it,
this is something
but
you've invested
if
a
they
lot of
are,
money
then
in,
that
and it's
thing
got
just
a,
locked
like you're talking
away
about,
in a
there's a
garage,
status
just sitting
attached
there
to it.
waiting.
And you just can't drive it anywhere. You just can't because it's just too low to the ground. It's just going to get banged up, that type of thing. So it's really for set locations
Yeah.
if you're really going to
Oh yeah.
have one. But
Yeah.
man, what a vehicle to have.
All right, like you just said, Bud, with Lamborghinis, folks,
Yeah,
I'm a big Porsche fan. Again, as I told you, there's a whole theme here of like sports cars in general. 32 Ford, not a sports car, but still, it's a classic retro vehicle.
for sure.
But Porsches for me, and if I had to isolate on
Yeah,
one, is a
definitely,
Porsche Spider.
definitely.
If
All
I
right,
had
Mike,
to
what
pick
is
any
next for
type of
you?
Porsche per se, I liked him a lot because, if I'm not mistaken, if I recall correctly, James Dean. I think that may have been the one he was driving when he died, but that's not why I'm fascinated by the car. I love the look of the Porsche Spider. It just had to be one he was driving when that happened. But just Porsches in general, I've always even box top type Porsches, those types of Boxsters. I just love Porsches. I never had a chance to drive one. The one car I did have a chance to drive, and it wasn't a Porsche, as and what I always thought was fascinating. It's not on my list, folks, but real quick, I did have a chance to drive a Jaguar one time, and I mean I got to drive it about 2 blocks, but just to have a chance to drive it 2 blocks, was still cool. I got to say I drove a Jag, so I have. Oh yeah, but I have not had a chance to drive a Porsche. There's not any Porsche that I don't like, but like I said, Porsche Spiders, I love the
All right.
design. More of a sporty type car. They all have that look though. Um, but Porsches as a whole are just it's a great reputation car. It's a quality vehicle. We know about what it can top out at as speed goes. We know
Yeah,
about
no,
the
that's
prices
true.
too, and then what they can top out at. But I love Porsches. Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, Porsche for me. I mean, I've never really been like, I never like hated it, and I've never really liked them a
Yeah.
lot. It's just that I thought they were just an okay vehicle for me. I like their
Oh yeah.
SUVs more than I do their cars. For me, I think the SUVs are a lot nicer too. But no, it's a great vehicle though, regardless. So, I mean, they do very well with them. They obviously have their own
Oh
style. Like I said,
wow,
you can
nice
tell when
vehicle,
it's a
bud.
Lamborghini. You can tell, when it's a certain vehicle. You can tell when it's a Porsche, for sure on that. So no, great one for sure, Mike. I like the Porsche one definitely. All right, moving on for me. The next one I have is the Audi R7. I don't. Yeah, Audi R7. It's one of those where it's like almost like
Yeah.
it's a mid size, right? I mean, it's not full size. It's not economy size. It's that mid size, nice looking vehicle. Obviously, got some power. I mean, and it's just got that beautiful look. And there's something about Audis that they do very good work with their body work. And I've always liked the way that the body works on all their vehicles come out at. Mostly their cars for sure. I mean, the SUVs they're fine, but their cars are definitely good. And I think and Audi's obviously a pretty good brand, and so I just don't want to fix anything if anything breaks on it. But but, but yeah,
Yeah, I
but
love
yeah, no,
Audis too,
I
but
love
and
the
I've seen
Audi.
quite a
Like actually
few.
became
Again,
more
never driven one,
into the
folks,
Audis now,
but they're just top-notch cars. Very good
than I ever
reputation.
have been before.
Um,
But like I said, a lot of the stuff
I,
has
I
changed for me over the
yeah, I
years. A
mean, they're
lot of
not
it has,
necessarily affordable per se,
for sure.
but
This is
I
definitely
think
not a
more
list.
so than some
If
of
you
the
ask me
vehicles we've
10 years
talked
ago
about
or
on our,
something, that
respective
some of
lists.
these would be on there
Uh,
for sure.
yeah, but but I think any list of vehicles for not just me and Anthony, but for a lot of people out there, regardless of your list, where it's a top five or a top 10, you're gonna have cars on there that, unfortunately, most likely you'll never get a chance to own. But that's part of the fun of having those type
Yeah, no, that's true.
of lists, and particularly when it comes to cars, and it's just like that dream thing to have, if you had a chance to. But again, I've never driven an Audi, but I really do like the way they look. They sound good. Um, I could definitely go for one of those. That's a good choice. I like that, but that's a very good choice. Well, let me see here, but I gotta make sure I'm getting this right. Okay, yeah. Is this the right year? Yes, it is. So again, folks, going back to Mustang here real quick. Again, another muscle car is a '69 Boss Mustang. I don't know how many people, folks,
Nice,
have had a
nice
chance
for
to see
sure.
these.
All right, moving on. What you got next, Mike?
Again, when you look at them, a lot of power. You can just look at the vehicle, and you just know that if you get a chance to drive it, you're going to move. It's been featured in movies. I think, I don't want to be mistaken here. I think the actor Steve McQueen, I believe, folks, drove one in the movie Bullet. It's considered one of the longest chase scenes in the history of film. And he drove a 69 Boss Mustang. As a matter of fact, Jay Leno did an episode on. He had a show where he deals with classic vehicles, and he actually had a chance to drive that vehicle. But when you listen to him, when you just hear the vehicle start, you know instantly when you hear the vehicle start that it's got so much power you may not even know what to do with it. But the interior is very, for the most part, Mustangs inside for the older Mustangs are pretty simple, not very elaborate. No, but the outside's phenomenal. And like I said, it looks like, it just looks, again, it's a muscle car. So it's just got a lot of muscle, a lot of power, and they look good. But that's one of my all-time favorite vehicles. I actually fell in love with that vehicle based on that movie, was Bullet, and just what they did in that particular sequence with the movie.
Yeah, they don't do a lot with the insides for sure.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I mean the Mustangs, obviously the Charger, all those. I mean they
Yeah, and
definitely
real quick, like we talked about, but much like we
muscle
talked
car,
about
right?
with
And that is
with Viper and
that
Cobra,
Boss
that
series
type of
is
thing.
just, you look at it,
Mustang's
that
not
is
like
exactly a
this
muscle
power
car
name,
when
so to
you
speak.
look
When you're
like
talking about a
that.
Mustang, like a
Beautiful
horse,
vehicle.
I don't
Just
know, the
tons of power,
logo, the
tons of
Mustang
power in the
logo. I just
vehicle.
thought it was one of
Yeah,
the
I
best
agree with you.
logos
I
for a
agree
vehicle
with you on
too.
this one.
And that's
I
another
like
part of the
that
attraction
one
with
for sure.
Mustangs is just the Mustang
Definitely.
logo. Ooh, nice choice.
Yeah, no, I agree. Totally, totally. Great pick on that one. All right, moving on to me. Mike had brought up the Bugatti, the Chiron, but for me, I have on my list is the Bugatti Divo. It's almost kind of got that look of that R7 in the
You
back.
don't.
It's like I said, a little bit more smaller vehicle, but it's also got that front face, that front look of it that makes it look like it's mean, it's fast, it's a good vehicle. And it's
Yeah, I agree with
Bugatti,
you,
right?
Bud. Honestly, with when you're talking
What
about the
can
one I
you
mentioned
say? It's a
earlier, Bugatti's
Bugatti,
just
right?
a quality
I guess
brand
you don't
name.
go wrong any of the
I
choices
will
you
say
take when you
this.
get a Bugatti, right?
I don't know if
But no,
well, I can personally say
agree
I've
with
never
you on the
seen
choice of the
one on the
Bugatti, but
road.
I'd like you
So I
just a
can't
little bit
speak
better for sure.
to
But those two are
firsthand,
bound equal
visual
for me on
experience.
those for sure.
But there's vehicles that you see that you never see in person, but you can still like them a lot. I've been fortunate to
Yeah.
see most of the ones on my list in person, but a Bugatti I've not personally seen in person. But the reputation with what's attached to it is spectacular, and everything about the Bugatti series I think is phenomenal. Folks, coming in this is number two, correct, bud?
Yeah.
Number two, folks, is for me. It's a '57 T-Bird,
Yeah, I have it here.
convertible. They do have hardtops, removable hardtops, but a '57 T-Bird is one of my
For sure.
all-time favorite cars.
All
I
right, Mike,
love it
moving
in
on. What do
red, but
you
it's
got
interesting
next?
because Bud's talked about this with his favorite
Yep,
color.
number
I've
two.
seen it in blue in person on TV, but in person too. Yeah, there you go, bud. There you go. It's a light blue. It's like a powder blue, baby blue. Oh yeah, do wraps. Yeah,
But it's like that light blue though, right? Not like a dark blue. It's got to be the light. So that's the
yeah,
thing. You think about some of these older
yeah,
vehicles, right? They stuck to just certain colors, right? I mean, nowadays you can
yeah.
put whatever
Black.
look you want on these vehicles, right? I mean, you can
Yeah,
drive down with the rose gold or
yeah,
pink car, whatever you want to do. But back then with these cars, it was one like it was
yeah.
a, just that candy
And I'm going
apple
throwback
red,
here, folks, but
right?
there's an old TV
The
show. It's
light
called Vegas. It was
blue,
about this detective in Vegas,
that
but
type
his
of stuff,
car was a
and they stuck with
'57
all the
T-Bird. It was a
white,
red one,
just the pure
and
white, black.
that's one of those cars.
That's
That's
what they
another
stuck
one.
with, right? That's all
I
you
always
can
told
really get
myself,
when you had cars
man,
back
if you
then.
ever get the
And I
money,
agree
that's in
with
my
you on the
collection.
red.
It's a
The red
'57
on this
T-Bird
vehicle
red, but I
is
would take it in a
a
powder
heavy
baby
C
blue,
line
like
for
Bud's talking
sure.
about. I've seen it in white and black, but blue or the red just absolutely blows me away. The interior, oh, I tell you what, when they match the interior with the white interior and the red exterior, man, it doesn't get any better than that. That's what's an awesome, sweet combination. And the white interior also works well with the baby blue. But a 57 T-Bird, folks. And even the name is cool, 57 T-Bird. I just love that. I just love that name. Great car. Great car.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. Definitely, Mike. Great one. Great one for sure on that one. Classic. Actually, definitely a classic. Moving on to me is where this one comes in. We talked about it earlier. Is that 32 Ford, though, guys? Second for me on the list. It's just one of those cars too that, like Mike said, it's beautiful. It brings back the
Yeah,
old
no, yeah.
school feeling. I mean, this is old school, right? The other thing that's cool about it is, man, if I had one of these, at least I know for sure I could run out there and work on it myself, right? Compared to a lot of these cars nowadays, I mean, even your standard just everyday drives, not even these ones we're talking about on here. Obviously, if you're looking at a Lambo engine, I'm not gonna know where to start, right? But I'm saying if I'm working on my 32
Mhm.
Ford, I know that I probably only need about two tools in my hands and I could probably fix everything in there, right? So that's the other thing is they made it so much easier to work with, and they were obviously looked like they were fun to drive. I wish I can get into one. I would love to, but obviously on top of that, just memories of it too with the American graffiti, and still to this day
Yeah, you
watching
know
the
what's
movie
crazy,
and
and
things like
and
that. There's
uh,
just
and again, I
always
talked about the
something
32
to
Ford
it,
earlier,
right? There's
folks.
just
So
something
I won't elaborate
about
on
it,
that
and
too much.
I
But
still
again, just one of
I'm
my
not
absolute
as
all-time
big as
favorite vehicles. It
old
would be in
school
my personal
cars like
question if I
everybody
had a
else
chance
is.
to
I'm
do
not
so.
into them as much,
You know
but
what's
this
crazy
one, there's
is
just
my
something
dad had a
about it that
neighborhood,
I
and
really
this
really
is
like too.
this is a
So
Chevy truck,
for
and
it. So that's
this
why it moves
you
too.
reminded me of this when you were talking about the 32 Ford. So I went by one day, and my dad's neighbor had his Chevy truck out, and he was working on it, right? And he had a really nice truck. It was still his truck, but he kept it in really nice shape, did a lot of the work inside. But to your point, I pull up and he's working on his engine, right? But folks, this is how amazing this is. Working on the engine, but there's so much space inside that he's literally sitting at the front of the engine area, legs inside, working on the truck because that's the kind of room those older vehicles had. Like Bud's talking about with these little 32 Fords and these Chevy trucks and that type of thing. And you look at them now and you can't even fit your hand inside a part of the engine because everything that's inside the engine, I don't even know how people work on vehicles now. Is everything is so freaking
Yeah.
crazy. And
Yep.
every inch of
Exactly.
space is
You're
occupied
right.
with something now. So when you see
You're
these little
absolutely
vehicles,
right.
it's crazy. It's absolutely mind-boggling. Yeah.
I know. It's bad. Exactly. Oh,
Okay, folks.
I'm with you, Mike. It's
It only
insane.
takes
Obviously
one
working with
word,
cars
and you say
myself, and
Corvette, and
doing
everybody knows
my
what you're
job and stuff.
talking about. I don't care
It's
who they
insane to see
are.
these
If you
vehicles
say
nowadays and what
Corvette,
they
if
have
they're not a little
available. So I
kid,
totally agree
if
with
they're
you
at
on
least
that.
probably
So,
16, 17 years
looks
old, they
like we are
know
up to
pretty much
number
what you're talking about.
one
If you say
on
the
our
word
list now.
Corvette, they know it's a vehicle, and they probably know it's considered one of the better vehicles. But more specific, and I love most Corvettes, but there's one in particular, and believe it or not, I've had a chance to sit in one of these vehicles, is a 53 Corvette. There's nothing prettier in the entire world in regards to vehicles to me than a 53 Corvette. It's a drop. I mean, it's a convertible. They have them in hard shell, but they also have them obviously just as convertibles. There's nothing prettier. There's nothing that sounds better to me than a 53 Corvette. You cannot not look good in a 53 Corvette. I don't care who you are. You look cool sitting in a 53 Corvette. You look cool in a lot of Corvettes, and like I said, there's a lot of them I like. But it's just a design. I can't even really describe what you see when you're looking at a 53 Corvette. But it's just beautiful. It's always a two-door. Interior is just plush. It's always just a two seat Corvette. And you pop the top, and if when the hood comes up, it comes up not lifting up right. Let's just you pull it back to lift up the hood, from the windshield, out or up, if you will. So it's a little bit different on that aspect of things. Like Bud's talking about, I've seen them in just about every color you could imagine: white, black, blue, red, all types of colors. And there's not one that I don't care for. But with this particular vehicle, the powder blue, believe it or not, and my color red is it. But blue absolutely just blows me away with this vehicle. If I could get one of these, I'm not kidding you folks. If I brought it home that entire day, I would just stand there and just look at the car. I just look at it. I wouldn't even get inside of it. I just look at it. That's all I do. This is my absolute dream car. And like I said, I was very fortunate to have a chance to sit in one just about a year ago. It was absolutely wonderful.
Yep.
And that one's
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. No, that's pretty cool for sure. But for me, the
Yeah.
one thing that has kind of been mind-boggling to me about Corvette
That
is
reputation, yeah.
how they've managed to over the years change like their whole entire body style, but still never lose anything from the people. So if you think about it, Mustangs coming up, the Dodge Chargers, the Challengers, they've all kind of stayed, even from the muscle cars,
Yeah,
right?
it's
They
crazy. I
still
agree with
kind
you,
of
but
have
I
that
agree with
look
you
to it,
completely.
all the same body style, right? The Corvettes in the 50s to the 60s to 70s, they've changed drastically, and now the Corvettes now probably from like what the 80s up until now are somewhat the same. But now I've seen the Corvettes now. The Corvettes now almost look. I sometimes mistake them for a Lambo out there nowadays the way that they look. But it's crazy that you can change your whole body style that many times,
Yeah,
and
and
people are
again,
still like,
so
I don't care.
this
Like
is kind
it's
of
a
funny.
Corvette.
This is what's
That's
ironic,
the only thing that people cared
but
about,
seeing a
right? It's a
Corvette, like I'm
Corvette.
talking about, and I'm talking
That's
about
what
the
really
'53
matters to me.
Corvette,
I
folks.
don't care if it looks like the old
That
style. I don't
that
care if it
almost
looks like the new
pains
style.
me
It's a Corvette.
that
You're gonna
I
get in
can't
it.
have that.
It's gonna be fast.
That's the
It's
one
gonna look
car.
good in
Like I look at, it, I'm
frontage,
like,
right?
man, why
All
can't
of
I
them
just
you look
have
good in, no matter
one
what.
Corvette? That is the one car that I just like. Oh, I wish I could have that. But I probably never will. And that's the one that pains me because I would love to have one. But to sit in one was an absolute thrill. I'll never forget it. My appreciation to the gentleman that let me sit in his vehicle. But what an experience. But that is my dream car, folks, a '53 Vet.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, that's a nice one, bud. Like it.
That's great. No, I absolutely love that one, Mike. Absolutely love it. Good one. Good one for sure. My number one is going to be the Nissan Skyline, the R34. Um, yes. If everybody remembers, this was also the one that was in the Too Fast, Too Furious one that he had. Absolutely. That's kind of basically where I fell in love with this vehicle, right?
Yeah.
It was in that movie, seeing this one, and it's kind of one of those things because at the time when you're thinking about it, and even right now, most of these cars talk about like the Bugattis, the Lambos, things like that. Obviously, like we said, they can't afford. The Nissan Skyline kind of gives you that feel like I could possibly afford this car. I could maybe have this car somewhere down the road, right? That's kind of the nice thing about it is you can have something that looks this beautiful, this great, it's
Now,
fast,
let me
fun
ask
to
you this,
probably
though.
drive, this and that.
If you got the
Um,
car,
to
would you
actually
drop
say
some
this
NOS
is
inside of
actually
it?
something maybe I could kind of get someday and actually have,
Yeah.
and it makes you kind of
That's
maybe
one
want to
thing,
push
but
towards something like that, right? Like we always say, sometime down the road, maybe we want to have a car that we could add to a
no, I
collection
get,
just
I
for
get.
fun to have as we get older. This would be one.
Let me ask you this: Have you? And I haven't, obviously, but have you ever been in a car that
No,
they
no,
use NOS?
I
Because
can't. I
that's
couldn't
one
put the
curiosity
NOS
I
in
have.
because
And we get that.
and that's it. Then it just goes back to the family thing, right? The
Oh,
kids,
you have.
it's all that. Like if I'm single, I probably am, right? I'm just dumping it in there and I'm just letting it fly up there on the highway.
And I would love to. I think I would really like to see what that feels like. I
No,
think that would be
no.
really insane to just
No,
feel that kind
I
of
have not, but
power.
I have heard like
I
you do
can't see how
feel
that
like
wouldn't
they
be
show in the
like
movie.
a
As soon as they
thrill.
hit that, it's
You know,
boom,
it's
you're
always.
back and you're yeah. I heard you do get that feeling still when you're in there with it for sure. I agree. I agree. See, and then this vehicle kind of made me start turning away from the muscle cars into more of the tuner vehicles and stuff. This is kind of around that time where I went more tuner. I was more into the tuner types, trying to see, kind of
Well, I
more
thought they
into
just
like
did.
the Supras and the things like that, the Skyline, and I turned a lot, and it had a lot to do with the movie, obviously. So they did pretty well. They made everybody turn
You
into
know,
more of the tuner
real
stuff,
quick,
right?
but the one thing, and
And then
this
of
goes to
course now they
motorcycles
can't
for a
stop
second.
making
I don't know if you ever
movies.
had
They
a
might as well
fascination with
say, well, I
motorcycles.
mean,
I actually did.
they'll make probably
I
Fast
never
and
could see
Furious
myself like, and
550,
kind of what you're
I
talking
think,
about,
but
with muscle cars as
I don't
opposed to the
know.
Nissan,
I
like
have
you're talking
no
about.
idea.
That's a big
They
transition,
probably
but
should
there's a
stop
fit
after
attached to it.
after
Like
Too Fast, Too
when I was growing up,
or
I could see
something like that.
myself. I never could see myself on a Harley, right? I mean, folks, imagine me pulling up to a bar, a biker bar on a Harley. You know what they're going to do to me? I mean, this is not even pretty. So, but what I could see was me on like a crotch rocket, right? Just getting out there, that type of thing. If I had to say, look, I could better see myself on this than that. I could see myself, wrecking a crotch rocket as opposed to.
Okay.
Yeah, so I get kind of what you're saying with the Nissan and in the
Yeah.
in the muscle car type thing, but that's not
Yeah.
so much
Exactly.
how you would look type thing,
I'm
but
with
it's
you.
kind of in that same
I
vein.
totally agree with you. I'm the same exact way. Yeah, I was
That's a
like I
great choice,
can't
but
ever
great
see
choice.
myself on a Harley or motorcycle bike like that, but I could see myself, yes, on a crotch rocket or something to that effect. I was the same way. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Definitely for sure with
But
that.
also to your point,
Yeah, no,
but to
actually,
your point
both
too,
of
but
yours
you
are
can,
great.
so
There's
folks,
a
I mean,
lot of
it's
good
not it's not
ones. I
necessarily just
like how
about
you
muscle
went more
cars
old school with
and
loud
Ferraris and things like
music.
that, like Anthony's talking about. There's
Definitely
some
a
really
fun
nice
list of
cars out there.
things
They're
that you
technically
and I
they're
haven't
more
talked
like
about of
family
good
oriented,
cars in a long
but that's
time.
the
So
whole
we kind
beauty
of
of it.
kind of
They
bring
still
those
look
back
great, sound great.
in and
I mean,
kind of
that type of
some new
thing. So there's
ones that
something out there for
I want to
everybody, and I
bring
think
back
that's kind of
and
what these
talk with
lists
also.
they show collectively.
Yeah. The other thing too for me, I go with a little bit bigger vehicles and take sure the trunk space is. I mean, I gotta have a system in it at some point too. I mean, you can't gotta have the system, right? I mean, I have to. I I think for me even more nowadays is the system's more important. The sound, the music sound, and the system is more important than the speed of the
You know
car
what's funny
anymore
about it
nowadays for
is I
me.
don't know if you still
Like
do
I
this.
don't even care if
And I
that's.
don't think it's
I mean, it's cool
loud.
to
I
have
mean,
some
I'm talking
power
about
to
a
have
standard
something
system,
like
folks.
that,
I'm not
but
talking about anything
for
that's
me,
like,
I'm like
Anthony's talking about where you go and drop
I'd rather have a
3,000,
system. I
for
want
a
to hear
good
my
solid,
music. I want
car
to let it
system.
go
But
because I
I
had a
mean,
system in
I
my
guess,
Mustang that
I
I had
tend to
at
still
one
play my
point
music a
too.
little bit
That
loud.
was the thing. I did have that Mustang.
But my wife will sit there and she'll, okay, let's turn it down just a little bit. It's like, no, that's the whole point. 'Cause you gotta have your music. You gotta have your music going. Now, exactly. So you're telling me that, in regards to which vehicle that either Anthony and I are in on these
Oh
lists, I
yeah, I mean I
mean,
do
you're
too.
telling me you don't want to be riding down the street and if we use a 32 Ford, you're bumping music.
Yeah, yeah, that is the point, right? There's certain volumes for certain songs, right? Okay, okay. Guess what? Okay, I got an idea now, right? Okay, we just
Songs?
finished our top 10. Okay, we're
Oh,
talking
your
about
cruising
let's
song.
next week, guys. What do you guys think of this? Top 10. Um, I
Oh,
guess
that's a
how
good
would I
one,
put
but I
this?
like
Top
that.
10
Oh,
like
that's awesome.
loud or like our most
Yeah,
loud music playing in
I
the
like that one
vehicle.
a
Like you
lot.
just said, like what
Well,
is our top 10?
typically we keep them secret,
If it's
but you
on
just
there,
heard
yeah,
what we're going to be doing next
top
week. So
10
hopefully that's something for you
like
to look forward to. I think it's a great
cruising, but like
choice
play
because
it at a loud
everybody, I think, at
level
some
type.
point
What
has
is our
done it. You
top 10
have to.
like? If this song's on, I'm cranking it up. I'm cranking the song. I'm cranking it up, and I'm not turning it down till the song's over. Like that type. Yeah, that.
Yeah,
So let's.
I did too.
And this is kind of nice. We can kind of run into like the system type stuff too in these cars. Kind of
That's,
go into that also. That I think that works out real well for us because I enjoy doing this car. Like I said, it was kind of cool. I haven't been into the cars as much as I used to be. So it's kind of nice to get back into that and look some up too and find some, you know, look at them again and be like, man, I remember some of these vehicles and how much I really used to like them. And it's kind of hard to think of some of them that I used to like that are no longer like on the list. Like let's see, let's
oh
see,
yeah,
let me think. Like
oh yeah.
like I really liked the Lincoln Mark LT trucks when they first
Mhm.
were out. I really like those. Um, the other one was kind of like a Hummer. The Hummers were real cool when they first started coming out too. Obviously, the classic too. Everybody wanted,
You
and
know,
now you can see them every time. But remember the
like you mentioned,
Escalade? The Escalade
no,
was
I
kind of
mean,
a
like you
big
mentioned,
thing, right?
BMWs,
Everybody wanted
Jaguars, things
Escalade.
like that. I mean, these are
You had the
great
one where you're
cars. They
riding on
really are. But again, it's
spinners, right? You
personal
had the
choice, things like
spinners
that.
running on
And for
them,
whatever
things
reason,
like
I
that.
never gravitated towards
I'm
those
actually
particular type of
surprised though,
vehicles.
that neither
I've
one of
seen some
us had
beautiful
like a
Volkswagens, but I mean,
BMW or
uh,
anything on there. What are your thoughts on BMW? Are you not a BMW fan? Yeah.
yeah,
Oh, Volkswagens are really, and yeah, I guess it'd be kind of different maybe if we kept it to more of like just like everyday cars because I mean you think about it now, a lot of these vehicles nowadays are starting to even look more of that racing
yeah,
type or the tougher feeling type because I remember when I was having my
yeah.
work vehicle worked on, they were replacing the hood on it. I had to get a rental, and they put me in a Toyota Camry, and this thing looked like it was like they had so much
And I
power. I was
do.
like,
I
"What the
do
heck
like
is this
Lexus quite a
vehicle?
bit. I
It
should
looks
say I
like
didn't
it's
know
like
I
it felt
drive
like it
like
was an
that.
Audi." I was like, "What the heck is this?" And it's like it's a Camry. So
Yes,
they're
status.
changing these vehicles up a lot, and that's why when we talked about that and
Mercedes back in
stuff
the
like
day.
that. But yeah, Volkswagen's a great
Back
one.
in the day, in the
Lexus
late
obviously
70s,
was
if you had a
like
Mercedes,
Lexus was kind
early
of a big
70s, late
one
60s,
growing
if
up
you had a
where
Mercedes, that was okay. You're doing pretty well.
yeah, because Lexus for us when we were kids, that was kind of us. Like if you drove you seen a Lexus, like oh they have a little bit of money,
Even
right?
if I
They
were
have some
rich,
money to be able to.
I always
But
associated those with more
that's not
like
the same
royalty.
now. Mercedes, I was
I
kind
mean,
of
like the exactly, yeah, like Silver Ghost type thing. When
or
you're talking about Rolls
or
Royce
like
and
the
things
Rolls
like that.
Royce. What did you think of the Rolls
And I always
Royce?
thought,
Did
if
you
I
like
had that kind of
the Rolls
money,
Royces?
would I really invest in something like that? I don't know if I would, but you know, a Rolls Royce is a nice
Yeah,
car. A
see
Bentley
that's
is
why
a
I
nice
think I would have
car.
went like
But I
with the
don't know if
Bentley
I
before I
would
went with the
necessarily
Rolls
want to have. I
Royce,
don't have a
right?
desire to necessarily drive one per se. It's almost like, and I hate to say it like that, folks, but it's almost like if you have like a Rolls Royce or a Bentley, it's almost like you would expect somebody to be driving you.
Huh? They're driving. Yeah, exactly. That's what I was gonna say. Yeah, you're in the back
Yep.
seat, right, while somebody's
5.0
driving. Yeah, I
Mustang
agree.
back,
No, I
that was
totally
always,
agree. Like just
and
kind
again,
of
back
going
to the
on some more,
Mustangs, but that was one
kind of
I
thinking
forgot to
about
mention
like
was the
the Range
5.0 Mustang
Rovers. I
drop
know were
top.
kind of one of
Uh,
those
and when I
big
saw it for the very
ones.
first time, one of the first times I saw an actual
Maybe the
5.0 was
Range
in a
Rovers. Those
Vanilla
were real
Ice
cool,
video.
right? Those were in
And that was,
the music
and I just thought,
videos
man,
and
that'd be a
things like
cool
that
ride to
too,
have. And I've seen
right?
a lot of them since then with those type of things. Uh,
Oh man, yeah.
oh yeah. Oh, yeah. You mean, you're talking about the other ones I've actually personally owned? Is it my favorite? Yeah, without a doubt. Because that was the only vehicle
So out of
that
all your vehicles that you've
uh,
owned personally,
I
you
ever
said
at
it's
the
the
time
Honda's in your
anyway
number one.
that was within reach. Like I mentioned,
There's no other vehicle you have
the Honda del
that
Sol was
that you've had.
it was still affordable for me, and I
Yeah,
knew
that
I
you
could get
own.
it.
Yeah, personally, you
But
bought.
at the time I first wanted, I had another vehicle, so I'd have to get rid of that one. And you know how that goes. You got to make it work once you do that. But finally, I was there one day, and I driven by a Honda dealership, and I was actually supposed to get a green one, but I don't think I ever told you that.
Yeah.
But there was a trick to this because the Honda folks that I did have, didn't have an air conditioner. I don't know if Bud remembers this or not. It was natural. It was ventilation, right? This is one of the drawbacks. They did come with air, but anyway, so the deal was set. I was
Oh,
going to
okay.
get the Honda Del Sol. It was a neon green, which was not my choice, well, not my color, like I mentioned. But I thought, okay, but it's a Honda Del Sol. I'll take it. The guy said, okay, it's going to
Oh, I don't
be
know. I don't.
$800 more because of the air conditioning. And I was like, at that particular point in time, I couldn't go that route. And so he says, but hey, I've got this one here, natural air, we can get you in. So that's why I went with the regular ventilation. But it was still cool. It was still cool. I didn't care. This is the wanted, but it
Oh
was
man.
originally going to be a neon green with air conditioning, but that was why. Yeah, but that was still my all-time favorite vehicle that I've ever personally owned. And like I told you folks, even if I had a Dodge Viper, I'd still have a fondness for that Honda Del Sol.
Wow.
I
Okay.
love that
Okay.
car.
Wow.
Love that car. Great
Oh
list, bud.
yeah.
Great list.
Well, that's cool. No, that's cool.
Oh,
Yeah. No, I bet. Nice. Nice. For sure. For sure. Well, everybody, let's take one more look here before we head out here. See
oh
what the
wow.
show looks like. Oh, 84-75 Nuggets up now with 3:15 left in the third. Yeah, looks like
Well,
let's
like we
see,
talked about, like you
LeBron's got
mentioned, that's what
23, AD 22, Russell 10, Jokic 21, Porter 16 now. Those are our top two scorers right now. Murray 13, Gordon 10. So it looks like the starting five really kind of stepped up here a little bit more in the second half here. Looks like we were there. The
yeah.
Nuggets, it was 60-57 at half.
But remember,
With the
folks,
Nuggets to
so
make
if
their
you're a
way
Laker
back.
fan or a
So, like
Nugget
you said, we
fan, this
talk
is
about
game one tonight at
huge, huge
Saturday.
win for
Game
the Nuggets.
two
They
is a
took game
week
one.
from
Lakers, if they could
Wednesday.
have pulled it off, I mean, that'd be
And
big for
then
them
I
too. They got to
game
maybe try
three
to take
is the first
one of
week
the
or
games to
second week in
Denver to
May. So
kind
it's
of get
going to
the
be a
title
bit, but
chance of the
they'll
league,
get through it.
which they definitely could. Like they came out strong against them so far tonight, but you know,
Yeah, I swear.
yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yeah, exactly, guys. Eventually, I mean, football will be started. We'll be getting into close to Super Bowl time by the time it goes, but we'll get there for sure. We'll get there. Oh man. Well, no, another great episode, Mike. Everybody that was here, we appreciate it. Please, guys, please don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit that like button if possible. It helps you guys. It helps us more than you guys think, honestly. But another great show. Please let us know in the chat when you guys watch this how you liked our vehicles. Let us know about some of the vehicles you guys liked. Things like that. And next week, like I said, we put out there, we're gonna put in our top 10. How do we
There was
want
an
to
old
how do
song
we
back
put
in the
this, Mike? Our
80s. It was
top
these two
10
girls. I can't remember the names. The
just
title of the song was "We Like the
bangers, right?
Cars, the cars that
Music
go
in the car. When you're in
boom."
the car, they're bangers,
That's
right?
it. So
You
that's
hear
what
that
it'll be,
song, it's like
folks.
I gotta
A little
crank
bit of
this
boom
up
boom
to
and some bang.
maximum level. And if you got a system, you're pounding it. If not, you're just blaring out the speakers till they go out. But that's gonna be our top 10. So keep that in mind for you guys too. The cars that go boom. Yeah, yeah. Definitely, guys. Well, like I said, once again, appreciate you guys coming out. Hope you guys enjoyed the podcast here. Please let us know if anything you guys would like us to talk about. Let us like us to get into next week. We'll probably get a little bit more into some more basketball here. Anything that's kind of going on, and then we'll do our top 10 like we have been. But like I said, once again, appreciate everybody that's been out there supporting us, watching us, been out there for
Yes, sir.
us.
Yes, sir. And
Appreciate it
as
very,
always,
very much,
folks,
guys.
I
For
can't do
sure.
this
So you guys,
without
if
putting
it's
this
not, I
out there on
know
a weekly
I've
basis.
noticed
This
that you guys are
show,
paying
as you
attention.
see it on a
We look
weekly
at everything that
basis,
we can put out.
graphics,
But once again, Mike, appreciate you.
background, all these things that go
Yeah,
into making this
lovely,
show
lovely to
is
be
top
out
of the
here
line,
again
is what
with
it
you this week.
is the results of this
Looking
gentleman
forward
next
to
to
it again
me,
next week too.
and his creative ability, his ideas, and everything that he puts out there is what you see, and it's just his creative genius. It really is. I know he doesn't believe this, but he just has a genius for this type of thing. And without him, this is absolutely impossible to do. So I always like to end the podcast with an appreciative thanks to this gentleman, because again, without him, it doesn't happen. So my sincere appreciation to Mr. Anthony Alvarez for every single thing he does to make this happen. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Well, I appreciate it very much, Mike. And
Have a good night, folks.
Enemies close, have me thinking they're friends. 10 toes down, I'll be free until the end. Crib outside the city, I don't feel safe in my hands. Took so many years, I'm just waiting for the wins. I'm in debt to no one but the one who took my sins. I do it for real, there's no reason to pretend. If I do it once, I do it again. Add it up, bankroll, euro, peso, add it up, I'm just doing me, everything is on me, oh you matter what. Add it up, bankroll,